Hey there, ladies. I'm so glad that you're here. Today, we're diving into one of my favorite strategies that's helped so many of my clients to lose weight, to feel full, and to stop obsessing about food all the time. And it's called volume eating. Okay. So, if you've ever said, I'm eating less, but I'm always hungry, or I just want a way to stay full without like blowing out all my calories, this training is for you. So I'm going to show you how to build your plate in a way that fuels your body, that satisfies your hunger, and still supports fat loss. I'm also going to walk you through why this works. Also what kind of foods to prioritize and give you some repeat meals to just make this like super stinking simple. So grab a pen and let's get started. If we haven't met yet, I'm Coach Chelsea Ray, and I'm a women's fitness, weight loss, and metabolism coach. And I specialize in helping women over 40 to lose fat, feel strong, and finally get the results that they want without giving up their favorite foods or spending hours and hours in the gym. That's right. So, yes, I'm a personal trainer and a nutrition coach, but more importantly, I get what it's like to be frustrated with your body. Like, I've been there when nothing is working anymore, and it is so frustrating, right? And that's why my mission is to teach like the real strategies that are like simple and effective and actually something that we can sustain for a lifetime. There's no quick fixes here. There's no fad diets, just smart habits that work for and with your life. All right, so let's get into today's topic because it's a good one and it's going to change the way you look at food. Hopefully, that's my hope with this. So let's talk about volume eating, okay? This one strategy can literally change the game when it comes to fat loss, to feeling full and to sticking with your plan without feeling like a cranky, starving bitch all the time. Who's been there, right? So what is volume eating? Well, it's eating in high volume of food that's low in calories. So think big salads, big stir fries, smoothie bowls, huge veggie omelets. So meals that look and feel satisfying, but also don't pack on a ton of calories. And it works because of something called energy density. And all that basically means is the amount of calories given, um, weight or giving a weight or volume of food. Okay, so let's talk about so for example, 200 calories of Cheetos, that's maybe what, like two handfuls, maybe. But 200 calories of strawberries is like a whole pint of strawberries, right? So which one do you think is going to fill up your stomach faster and keep you from raiding the pantry after like an hour after eating? Exactly, the strawberries, right? And I'm not saying that you should only eat strawberries or salad, but when we start building meals around those high volume, low calorie foods first, then you naturally start to eat fewer calories without actually like even having to count every single one. So it's like a sneaky trick, but in a good way, right? So think of it more of like a brain body hack, if you will. So here's what happens when you're not volume eating. So you eat the tiny little portions of a high calorie food and you're hungry like 30 minutes to an hour later, right? Where you try to be good, but then you get like that super serious snack attack at night, right? Or you're tired, you're cranky, and you don't understand why your diet's not working. Does that sound familiar? Well, I want you to flip it. When you fill your plate with things like veggies, lean protein, high fiber carbs, your stomach stretches. Your hunger hormones go, okay, cool, we're good. We feel satisfied, even if your calories are lower than what they were before. And it's not just a physical thing. This really helps you mentally as well. Because when your plate looks full, your brain sees volume, right? It triggers that satiety in our body. It signals safety, right? We've all heard that saying, right? Like our eyes are bigger than our stomach. Well, that's exactly what we're doing here, right? It wants to see big amounts of what we're eating, and then it already triggers like, oh yeah, this is definitely going to fill me up, right? and then you're not in survival mode anymore. You're not like white knuckling it throughout the day. This is a way to stop that like mental ping pong match of, should I eat more? Am I allowed? Is this enough? All of that nonsense, right? So volume eating brings kind of that peace to the chaos when it comes to dieting. And it's freedom through food choices. And we don't get stuck and held up in like food rules, if you will. Okay. And it's sustainable, which is like super key here, right? We want to be able to do this for life. Like that's probably why your diets haven't worked before, because they're not sustainable. Yeah, anyone can crash diet for 2 weeks, but if you're always hungry and you're always miserable, you're not going to stick with it, right? Nobody ever does. Let's like just be real with that. We've all been there. We've all done it. So the goal is to eat in a way that really feels good. And also it looks good on our plate and it still helps you to burn fat. Does that sound good? All right. Well, next I'm going to show you how to actually build your plate to make that happen. I want to talk about how to actually build your plate to make this work in real life and not just in theory. Okay, this actually works. If you're tired of guessing when it comes to portions or wondering why your meals never seem to keep you full, this is an exceptional way to look at this, to really dial this in. And it's a formula that works. And I teach this to my clients. It's simple, it's balanced, it works for fat loss. It works for balancing out just your nutrition overall, even if fat loss isn't necessarily your goal. But creating a balanced meal without feeling like you're eating like a little bird, right? We don't want to eat like that either. That's nonsense. And then we can turn into that hungry bitch, right? We don't want to do that either. So here's how to build your plate. So we're going to break it into sections visually. And this helps so much when it comes to portion control and making sure that you're getting what your body needs. And again, visually, we really, it kind of ingrains better, right? So I want you to think about your plate, okay? Like your normal size dinner plate. Half of that is going to be veggies, okay? Whole half of that plate. Maybe a little fruit, but this is your volume, your fullness factor. These are the foods that are low in calories, high in fiber and water, which means they stretch your stomach, they turn off the hunger hormones, and they help you to feel satisfied for longer. And before you go and roll your eyes at me, no, this does not mean eating broccoli and that's it. Like we get so stuck in that like chicken and broccoli thing, right? No, I want you to get creative, roast it, season it, air fry it, make it a big colorful salad, stir fry it in coconut aminos. Get creative with your veggies so that they're actually enjoyable. The more color, the more crunch, the more variety, the better. And you can even like, toss a little fruit in there, totally cool. Things like berries on a salad or a few like orange slices on the side if you want something like fresh and sweet to kind of add to your meal. But veggies, half that plate, okay? Now I want you to think again that plate. So half of it's veggies. That quarter in the bottom is a fourth, okay? This is going to be your starchy carbs. Yes, we are keeping carbs on our plate, ladies. Your body needs them for energy. It needs them for digestion and hormone balance, especially if you are an active woman over 40. We need the carbs, okay? So I'm talking things like sweet potatoes, brown rice, quinoa, beans, lentils, even a slice of like sprouted grain bread or some air fried potatoes, okay? We are not going low carb here. We're going smart carb. Okay, we want to think smart carb. We want the carbs that come with the fiber and the nutrients, not the empty ones that spike our blood sugar and leave you crashing later. We know what those ones are, right? Like your cookies, your donuts, the white breads, those type of things, right? Smart carbs, slow digesting, give you the nutrients that we need, and they don't spike your blood sugar and leave, again, that like afternoon crash happening. Okay, now let's think of that other fourth of the plate. Okay, so we got half veggies, quarter carbs, quarter of your plate is going to be protein. So protein is your fat loss best friend. It helps to build and maintain muscle. It keeps you full and it supports your metabolism and it helps balance your blood sugar. So this is where most women that come to me undereat protein. It's one of the first things we work on when you come to work with me is like, let's get your protein a little higher, right? So if you want better results in your fat loss journey, in building more strength, like this has to be a priority. So some really great go-to options are going to be like grilled chicken or turkey, shrimp, whitefish, tofu, tempeh, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, eggs, egg whites, those type of things. You can even have like protein packed soups or like lentil based dishes. Lentils are one of the best vegetarian options for protein. And again, if it doesn't fit in that quarter of your plate, totally cool. I want you to use your palm, okay? This is at least a palm-sized portion of protein at each meal. And if you're still hungry after, protein is going to be the first thing that you increase, okay? So we got a whole bunch of veggies, some smart carbs, and that protein, right? So we got half, quarter, quarter. Does that make sense? Okay. But we're also going to make sure that we add 1 thumb of healthy fat. So this is like your avocado, your nuts, your seeds, your olive oil, your nut butter, or even cheese if your tummy tolerates dairy well. You need fat for hormone health, for your brain function, and it does help again to help you feel more satisfied. But fat doesn't make you fat, but it is very calorie dense. So just think a little fat goes a long way. So I want you to think like a drizzle of olive oil or a spoonful of nut butter or a few slices of avocado, not the whole thing, or a tablespoon of seeds or chopped nuts. Okay. So like again, I usually say 1 thumb size amount per meal unless your calories are a little higher, okay? So I want to preface that some of us are working with a little bit higher caloric intake, or if you're actively like putting on lean muscle, like that's our goal, then we can adjust, right? So that can be a little higher for depending on the person and depending on what we're working on, right? So just to recap, this is how you build a plate that looks satisfying, keeps you full, supports fat loss, and doesn't leave you raiding the pantry at 8 p.m. And when you do this consistently at most meals, right, there's a little wiggle room, it starts to become kind of a no-brainer. Like, we want you to get to a point where you don't have to track everything forever, that you just kind of know what a balanced plate looks like, what something that's going to be fat loss friendly. Like, you can just visually look at that and know, okay, this meets like my dietary needs, my goals that I'm working on, right? So that you don't have to necessarily track every single little calorie. All right, so now that you know how to build your plate, let's talk about what foods you actually want to keep on hand to make this like easy peasy, okay? You cannot volume eat with high calorie foods. This is not how it works, okay? I hate to break it to you, ladies, and I love all these things too, but if your plate is full of peanut butter, cheese, tortillas, creamy sauces, we all know that shit is delicious, but it's also going to rack up somewhere between 800 to 1,000 calories real freaking fast. So instead, I want you to think about building your meals around like those high volume, low calorie foods. So these are the foods that are going to give you like more bang for your buck in terms of fullness and nutrients without a calorie overload. So let's bring it down. So veggies, these are going to be your like volume MVPs. Okay. So you can eat a whole lot of them for very little calories. These are going to help with digestion, blood sugar, keeping your belly full. So things like zucchini, bell peppers, broccoli, cauliflower, cucumbers, cabbage, are like leafy greens like spinach, arugula, kale, different mixed greens, green beans, mushrooms, spaghetti squash. And then the ones that are like really good for our gut health are like pickles, sauerkraut, kimchi. That's important too, right? So pro tip, roast or air fry a big batch at the start of the week so you can always have them ready. And again, season that shit. Put some seasoning on it. If you don't like vegetables, season it. Change it up. Try different ones. Try different ways of cooking it. Try different variations and maybe ones that aren't so common, right? We get so stuck again in that like chicken, broccoli, rice, right? It can be so much more creative. It can stay that simple, right? But it can be much more delicious than that. So if you don't like veggies, season that shit. Fruits. Okay, so these are going to be really great for that sweetness as well as fiber. Not quite as voluminous as veggies, but still very nutrient dense. Okay, fruit never made anybody fat, ladies. So keep your fruits in the rotation, please. So think, berries are going to be some of your like more high fiber and less sugar in them. So strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, even pears. Okay. Um, and then, apples are really great when they're paired with a protein as well. Kiwi or pomegranate seeds can be fun for like topping. And then, we have our oranges and our grapefruit and melon type fruits. And then there's the lean proteins. Okay. So these aren't volume for foods per se, but they are essential for fat loss. And most of my clients, again, like I said earlier, are under eating protein, okay, especially at breakfast and lunch. And so we work on building that up. So I'd mentioned these before, but again, we're thinking chicken, turkey breast, egg whites or whole eggs, non-fat Greek yogurt, shrimp or whitefish, tofu or tempeh. Protein powders can be great too to add into like smoothies or oatmeal. And then we're talking those smart carbs, okay? So these are also good for bulk and fiber, but not all carbs are created equal. So the smart carbs are the ones that bring fiber, nutrients, and satiety. So again, I mentioned these before, but again, sweet potatoes, quinoa or brown rice, lentils, chickpeas, black beans, oats, sprouted grain bread, and even butternut squash, okay? And then I have some bonus filler foods that bulk up your meals without blowing out your calories. So things like riced cauliflower. So you can mix that in with your regular rice. Again, you're getting a little bit more fiber. You're getting a lot more bulk, right? Like filler, very little calories. Zoodles are another, like zucchini noodles, okay? Again, mixing it with different can really like just amplify. It's not the same as a noodle. I'm not going to sit here and try to say like zoodles are like pasta because they're not. It's just something different. You can think like broth-based soups, air-popped popcorn, not in the bag, ladies. We're doing this in the pan slowly. And even like salsa, mustard, coconut aminos, or hot sauce, right? Because to just add a little bit more, very little calories. So make sure to stock up your fridge and your pantry with these kind of foods because it makes building these high volume, fat loss friendly meals just so much easier. And you just set yourself up for success on more like an autopilot, right? We start to not have to think so hard on these things because when these foods are like they're prepped and they're ready, you aren't left trying to piece things together while you're starting to get the hangry, right? Hungry bitch syndrome. It takes some of that stress out of our already very full days. One less thing to think about when we kind of have this planned out a little more, it really takes that stress level down. Let's talk about some sample meals that you can set on repeat that's going to just, again, set you up for a very successful week. I'm going to walk you through some meals that follow the volume eating plate method. And I'm going to give you a few examples, and then you can literally, again, just put them on repeat week after week without getting bored or getting the food ick, right? We don't want that either. So you don't need a brand new recipe every day, okay? You need a few solid like go-tos that you can kind of rotate throughout the week. So things that are high volume, balanced in protein, carbs, and fat. They're easy to prep or adjust. And of course, they actually taste good because we're not going to eat them if they don't taste good, right? So breakfast. So let's think like a veggie egg white scramble. Okay. So like half a cup of egg whites, a whole egg. We're going to add some spinach, some tomatoes, some mushrooms. We're going to top it with salsa and sprinkle with a couple slices of avocado. Okay. And then you can even add a slice of like a Ezekiel toast. You find that in your freezer section, by the way, or a piece of fruit for the carbs. Okay. Boom. Well-rounded meal. Another breakfast option could be like pumpkin protein oats. So you would take like half a cup of oats, a cup of water, and you're going to stir in a cup of canned pumpkin. I always go organic with that one. A little bit of cinnamon and a scoop of vanilla protein powder. High fiber, high volume, and keeps you super full all morning. Simple, right? Like simple and delicious. And then you could even do like this is just like a bonus one, but like a yogurt fruit dip plate. So I really like the Oikos vanilla Greek yogurt. So you take like 3/4 of a cup of that and then a tablespoon of the PB Fit. If you do the whole cup, Okay, just a side note, the actual cup of yogurt, and if you add the PB Fit into it, there's not enough room for all of it to mix, and you'll make a freaking mess. So I take it out and put it in a different container so that I just don't make a mess. But then you can just like add apple slices or berries to dip it in, right? So you got protein, fiber, crunch. Guess what? Craving killer. It is so good too, and it makes you feel like you're having dessert for breakfast. That's also a great snack option as well. All right, let's talk about lunch. So let's think big ass salad with protein. So we got mixed greens. We're gonna throw in some cucumbers, some tomatoes, some onions, some carrots. We're gonna add 4 ounces of grilled chicken or tuna, maybe a light vinaigrette or balsamic mustard. And then we can also add in like chickpeas, which is a really good one, or like sweet potato or quinoa for some of those extra carbs. Okay, just make like a bowl, yeah, it's so good. The other one is like a loaded cauliflower rice bowl. Okay, so we're gonna do rice cauliflower and we're gonna saute it all up. Some garlic, some onions, some peppers, okay? Flavor that shit. Then we're gonna put like 4 ounces of ground turkey, or you could do tofu. And then you're gonna throw like a handful of black beans, top it with salsa, a couple slices of avocado. So filling, so flavorful. You've got to try these. These are so good. And then for dinners, my couple that these are all like my go-tos too. Like I'm sharing like what I do at home myself. So let's think like taco inspired plate. Okay, so we'll do like 4 ounces of ground turkey or lentils if we're going vegetarian, right? We're gonna saute bell peppers, onions, spinach. We're gonna do a side of roasted sweet potato wedges and a dollop of Greek yogurt. Sprinkle of cheese, just a little bit, right? Oh my gosh, it tastes so like indulgent, but again, totally balanced, all in one. Another one is a spaghetti squash bowl. So we do 1 cup of cooked spaghetti squash, half a cup of marinara, and then 3 ounces of lean ground beef or ground turkey. And then I've done like sauteed zucchini and mushrooms, and it feels like a comfort food. And it's totally volume packed, just great. So a few snacks that are like my go-tos are like air popped popcorn with a little bit of sea salt, 2 hard-boiled eggs and some carrots, like thin sliced carrots. Um, let's see, apple slices in that PB Fit. Okay, so we kind of already talked about that. You can either do it with the yogurt or you can just do it itself, right? You add a little bit of water to the PB Fit and actually make your own peanut butter. Turkey roll-ups with pickles and mustard. Oh, so good. If you're not a pickle fan, don't take it, but don't come out those of us that love pickles. Greek yogurt, frozen berries, and cinnamon. So good. And you can even take the frozen berries and put them in the microwave for a few minutes and like get them to like melt into like a syrupy type situation. Then put it in there. It's so good. So anyway, you do not have to make it fancy to make it effective. So pick like 2 to 3 breakfasts or 2 to 3 lunch and 2 to 3 dinners that you like. Okay, it doesn't have to be what the examples I gave you, but just pick some dinners that you like. Follow that plate building method that I gave you, and then rotate those throughout your week. Okay, it's going to take that stress off of what should I eat? What's for dinner? Everybody hates that question, right? And it puts your fat loss plan on more of like an autopilot, right? Remember, the most powerful nutrition plan is not the trendiest thing that you just saw on the TikTok. It's one that you're actually going to stick to, all right? And volume eating makes that like super doable. So I also kind of want to mention like why this works so well and why this almost gives you a little bit of a mindset reset. And it's about kind of tricking your body. Like it isn't though. Like how do I want to say this? This isn't about tricking your body. It's about finally giving it what it actually needs. Okay, that's what it really is. So many of you are stuck in that like eat less, move more, but you're skipping the part where your brain needs to feel full and safe. So you don't need another restrictive diet plan or meal plan. You don't need to feel like you're starving every day. You need to learn how to build your meals that work for you. Excuse me. Like that's what needs to happen. This is not a crash diet. This is how you stay consistent and stop obsessing over your food. Okay? Like we rebuild that relationship. And this is the key. This is the way we do it. It's simple, it's sustainable, and it works. Okay. Well, I hope this training gave you some light bulb moments because, like, for me, this was a huge game changer figuring this out. Maybe this helps to simplify things a bit for you. If you want more help on this or need to kind of figure out like just more personalized help on how to put it all together or how to make your fat loss plan more sustainable, just reach out. I'd love to help, no pressure. Um, and just make sure that you hit that follow button, the subscribe button, turn on your notifications so you never miss when we do a new training. And if you want my free perfect plate guide, just comment plate below. I'll make sure you get it. If you're in the Facebook community, it's coming right at you right after this live. So just look out for that document to be posted. I'll put it right up at the top. And let's just make it a great week. Bye, ladies.